Hey guys, thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Kylie and I am part of the business development team here at Info Underwriting. We have Joseph with Three who is going to be sharing all of the good details about Three with us today. I do want to point out a couple of things. You all will be muted throughout the entire presentation. There is a box where you can ask questions, so feel free to do so there and we will answer them accordingly at the end. I'm going to turn it over to Joseph to introduce himself and get started.
Thanks, Kylie. This is Joseph Schaff, guys. Welcome to our little Three quick webinar. This is just an opportunity for us to share, um, what it is we do here at Three, and to help you guys out, and hopefully find a great solution for many of your clients out there. We're looking for a good, safe, reliable product that will take care of their business needs. So really quick, we've got this PowerPoint, and I'm going to try and run through this fairly quickly, simply because we want to try and get to questions and answers too with a short amount of time. You guys will get this PowerPoint, so I'm not going to read everything on the slides. I'm just going to kind of glaze over them, and then we'll come back for questions. So obviously, why Three? This gives a good description of what it is, who it is we are, and why we're doing what we're doing. This gives you a little bit more about the questions that you can use to respond to your clients. So you can, give them this type of response if they ask why you're looking at this policy for them. We're a comprehensive policy, meaning we cover all liabilities, and we also cover property, including, those things listed here. Workers' comp is an option on our quotes. You don't have to have it. You can actually run quotes with workers' comp and without workers' comp within the same quotes. You can see it both ways. And then commercial auto is also an additional add-on to our policy. And you can add commercial auto on either when you're getting the quote set up for bind or even after they've bound. So that's not an issue for us there. Moving along, we'll get into our footprint. Right now, we are in over 60% of the states in the country. We just added a couple states. Nevada's new, and I think of the second one. But we're looking to add Ohio. Actually, is coming on very soon, in the next month. So we'll have Ohio on here. New York is also a big one we're hoping to have done here in the next 2 to 3 months, maybe 6 months. It's a challenging state, as you guys are probably aware, but we hope to have New York on soon. And then Florida is another one that's a big one for a lot of people. We hope to have that on sometime, maybe by the end of this year, if not early next year. And then same with all the rest of the states. Our goal is to have all 50 states for our footprint. So we will get that soon. We'll really quick go through our appetite. These are our target industries. You can see them listed there. And then for industries that we do not get into, and I'll get into this a little bit more in depth, but these are the industries we do not do anything with. Transportation being a big one, manufacturing and healthcare also areas we don't get into very much. Well, let's get into some of the target actual classes. The first one I list here is hospitality, hotels, motels, including exterior entry motels, which is kind of a hard one to get insurance for. So the fact that we have that is certainly a good benefit, I think, for your clients if they have an exterior entry motel. You'll see that each of these slides for our specific categories has a little bit of information about what businesses are in this category. The coverage highlights is this one right here, and it tells you a little bit of what's special about our policy, and then the notable declines. This is when my department was formed, the wholesale department that is designed to help Invo Underwriting and other wholesalers such as yourselves. This is was our bread and butter. We got started with hospitality, so we're very robust here. Almost any hotel or motel scenario, we're usually capable of handling, with several exceptions. Obviously, if crime score becomes an issue, and it's actually a lower crime score than the rest of our businesses, we don't have a high tolerance for high crime scores. The other notable decline, of course, is coastal, which a lot of hotels wind up being within 3 miles of a coast of shore. That's an area we don't get into. We don't do Airbnbs or VRBOs. And then the 3 years of management experience, what I like to tell people is if they've got 3 years doing this, whether they've owned the hotel or managed a hotel, that's what we're looking for. If they have no experience, we can still do that, but they need to have some experience at least running hotels. If they have no experience and they're brand new to the industry, it's probably not going to work out. And we'll get into a little bit of detail later, but loss runs are also kind of a big thing here, making sure that you've got 3 years of loss runs if they've been in business for 3 years. It's very important for our underwriters. But I don't want to dig too deep in the weeds here. Let's move along. Look at the next category: restaurants and bars. Similar to hotels and motels, since it's a service industry, we handle all of these different appetites. One notable thing about food trucks, we do both food trucks and food trailers. If they do have a food trailer, however, we need to insure the vehicle that would pull the trailer. So pickup truck or whatever it is that they pull the trailer with, we'll have to insure that with our commercial auto along with the trailer itself. Several things here. You can see we've got liquor liabilities. It's built into all of our policies that where alcohol is sold, and we set it up at the business liability levels. Our standard policy is 1 million per occurrence, 3 million aggregate, and that's what liquor liability goes to as well. So we'll always exceed the needs for liquor liability for any restaurants or hotels. Same thing. And those other things are included in our policy. Once again, we're comprehensive, so we cannot exclude like cyber liability or E&O or directors and officers insurance. Those all are included in our policy. Notable declines for restaurants and bars. Think of nightclubs. Anything where there's bottle service, bartender or bouncers, dance floors. Um, those are areas that we don't really get into. Hookah is another area that we don't do, and hookah, of course, extends also to retail establishments selling tobacco-like products. If you've got and I'll get into the landlord in just a minute here, but if they own a building that has a CBD store or what have you in there, we're not going to be able to insure that as well. The tobacco and marijuana type products are areas we don't get into. So one other little notable decline here is South Carolina for restaurants and bars. We only insure restaurants or bars that have no more than 30% of alcohol sales over gross revenues. It has to do with their dram shop laws. It's a unique little peculiarity. If you ever have questions, we can certainly address that for you on a case-by-case basis. So other areas, this is the landlord situation, habitational LRO, obviously apartments, office buildings, shopping centers, and mixed use. Um, you don't have to have workers' comp on here. It doesn't say that on here, but there's a lot of landlords who don't want workers' comp because they don't have any employees, and that's fine. We can do that. We do include all those coverages with the ability to limit flood and earthquake in most states. So you can change those. You can change deductibles, of course. We won't get too in depth in that, but bottom line is the areas that we don't do any warehouses or storage, any schools, churches, um, nursing homes, 24-hour convenience stores. Bottom line is those are the areas we don't get into. Student housing is another area. They can have a little bit of student housing, but not very much. I think it's 10 to 15% of overall occupancy. We don't, once again, the short-term and vacation rentals, the Airbnbs, the RBOs. We don't do HOAs and condo associations. That's one we'd love to have, but we don't have that yet, so we don't have that ability. But hopefully somewhere down the road we will. And then one other peculiarity is in California, any habitational risk that was built before 1990 in the 80s or 70s or what have you, we will not be able to insure at this time. It has to do with fire hazards due to the electrical systems. California has a law that anything post 1990 has to have a certain type of electrical setup. So we will be able to insure those, but anything before 1990, we don't at this time. Hopefully down the road we'll find a way to be able to include that, but for now we do not. Some other areas, artisan and trade contractors. This is your plumbers, electricians, the people that do all the work on homes and commercial buildings and such. It also includes landscaping, lawn care, and tree services. You'll see some of the coverage highlights. One thing I like to mention in the highlights there is we don't technically have an inland marine policy, but since we're comprehensive, we act like an inland marine policy, and we can put verbiage on certificates of insurance that effectively talks about inland marine, or at least mentions that our policy will act like an inland marine. So if that's a requirement, we can do that. That's not an issue. Commercial auto and hired and non-owned auto are included in all of our policies. I'm sorry, the hired and non-owned is included in all policies. Commercial auto can be added to all policies. Hired and non-owned we put under our general liability, so it's at our business liability levels. Once again, 1 million per occurrence, 3 million aggregate. And then the notable declines. The main one here is roofing. Now that we can exclude workers' comp, our previous systems we couldn't do that, but now we can. We can do people that need insurance. And if they have roofing, there's some exposures we will allow now as long as they do not have workers' comp. If they have workers' comp needs, then we cannot do anything with roofing. And some of the other things you can read here, the peculiar one in New Jersey, carpentry, masonry, or concrete work in the state of New Jersey is a decline at this time. It has to do with the laws in the state. Once again, hopefully someone will be able to work through that and be able to add that as an app within our appetite. Let's see here. Keep an eye on the time. Going into auto services, we do all of these types of auto service things, repair shops, mechanic shops, gas stations, car washes, etc. Highlights listed right here. Notable decline. The main one here, dealerships, both new and used cars. We do not do anything for those. We cannot insure them because we have to do commercial auto on a specific vehicle basis. In other words, they've got to actually put in their VIN number in order for us to insure it. And on a rental, or I'm sorry, in a dealership situation, there's too many vehicles moving on and off the lots. So at this time, we're not able to do car dealerships. We do allow some towing now. Is what we call incidental towing. If it's a shop that has their own tow truck and will pick up a vehicle and move it to their shop to take care of it, we allow that. But what we don't do is allow towing companies. So if they advertise towing as a for-hire service, we cannot insure that at this time. This transportation and tire shops. There's some unique things there. You'll learn those things as we go along, and some of it's in the training material that I'll show you here in a few minutes. So, Main Street retail, mom and pop stores, convenience stores, liquor stores, etc. I mentioned earlier we have liquor liability built in for all. Anybody that sells liquor up to our business liability limit, so liquor stores are not an issue. Same thing with convenience stores that sell liquor and beer. Let's see here. Once again, notable declines. I mentioned cannabis and smoke shops. We don't do those. High crime scores, obviously an issue here as well. And manufacturing own brands. I didn't mention this in this one, but basically this is where someone's actually creating their own product. Think of a candle store and putting their own label on it and selling it in that regard. I think they actually do have candle stores allowed, but they're like, let's say it's a convenience store that wants to make their own product, put a label on it, and sell it off their shelves. That's an area we would not be able to do. It has to do with product liability. So all of these questions that you might have about some of these coverages and declines, we can address them on a case-by-case basis as you're doing quotes with us. You guys, once again, will get this guide as well as some other tools that will help you determine whether or not your client is eligible or not based on the type of business they have. Moving along here, other appetite, personal and professional services. This is your cosmetology, etc., gyms, consulting, accounting. See, we've got these coverage highlights. The main thing here is medical consulting and any kind of healthcare services. Those are declines for us at this time due to the healthcare risks and the liability laws with healthcare. So if you've got a cosmetology store that does like hot sculpting or some other things where they actually have to have a nurse on staff to do it, that's probably something we won't be able to insure. But if they don't have nurse requirements, then we might be able to insure them. You'll just do it on a case-by-case basis. Hopefully we'll be able to insure that client for you. Cleaning and janitorial, pretty straightforward. One thing I'll mention here, junk removal and window cleaning. Junk removal is for hire junk removal. So if they're advertising coming by, picking up sofas, refrigerators, large items, we do not insure that. But if it's incidental junk off the job site, we allow that. That's fine. Window cleaning, they mentioned that here because it's a height restriction. Anything over, I think, 30 feet for 3 floors. And then actually interesting, it's 40 feet for tree services. The height restriction is the issue there, usually related to workers' comp. So if they don't have workers' comp needs, we may still be able to insure it, but you'll need to go through and find out if we can or not, and we'll definitely help you with that. I don't see anything else there we really want to talk about. Let's try and keep this moving so we can get to the training stuff. This is the essential information. Once again, you guys will get, when you sign up for credentials, if you haven't already, you'll get the link to our website. It's this producer portal. You'll click on that and it'll take you directly to our website. And I'll show you an example of a quote shortly. But for now, that's the link that you're going to use. Producer portal training, this is a key part of our training. This is something you guys will get from us. That link you can use to get to the website. I'm trying to make it smaller so you can see it. Are you guys still in the slideshow, Kylie?
Yes, I can still view it.
Okay. Can you see the screens that I just brought up?
Yes, the
The
wholesale partners.
Yep, perfect.
Yes,
Good deal.
I can see it.
All right, fantastic. These are the guides here that I was mentioning earlier. This is our toolkit basically. You can come into here and you can see our appetite and availability, policies and coverage. This keyword eligibility guide, this is the one I was referring to, is really useful. And basically all these things is that PowerPoint that I was just showing you is broken down in a different format. You'll see here, these are categories that we allow in eligible industries. Here's our footprint. When you get into these, you'll see that it's pretty much the same thing as that slide where you've got what's included, why we're good for that type of business, and then the declines basically are right here. So that's kind of a nice little tool that you guys can use. The other one that's really useful is the keyword eligibility right here. Let's say you've got a bar, you want to find out if we insure that type of a bar. All you've got to do is come here on this keyword eligibility, type in bar, and what'll come up is a list of different types of bars and whether or not it's eligible. And in some cases, it'll state here states ineligible. That's referring to like the California habitational. It'll mention anything pre-1990 years and eligible in California if that's the category. But bottom line is you're looking for finding the right type of category. Like I say, it's a wine bar, and then if it's eligible. So that's really your guide to do that. You can also do that within the quote system too. You'll see that here shortly. Um, yeah, this is the training guide over here. This is on that slide deck. This is also this partner resource training or producer portal training. Sorry, this takes you this right here. This is just a nice a step-by-step walkthrough guide on how to use our quoting system. You'll see it just says agent portal overview and lists all these things. And actually, it starts out when you first open it. It's going to have this little arrow, the minimize basically. All you've got to do is hit the arrow. That'll bring up the whole screen for you. And here it talks about submission and binding. And one of the more useful things about this as you go through is you're going to note that there's videos in here that actually walk you through how to do this. You're not going to hear this, but bottom line, the person walks you through on how to actually do the quote. So it's very useful. Um, so that's part of this training. One thing I do like to mention, the referral process. Let's really quick show you. You guys are familiar with the steps of a binding process. Your quotes are either approved, referred, or declined. If it's an approved quote, you can actually bind it. If it's referred, it has to go through underwriting. If it's declined, you can usually make adjustments if possible, but if it's a true decline, we won't be able to do anything to help you with that quote. And I'll show you what those look like. But bottom line is, um, this is the stages of the quote, and that's really all this is walking you through. Now, in our system, when you get a situation where a quote is referred, you'll actually get an email directly from underwriting, and you're going to want to respond to underwriting in that email. It's your only way to actually speak with the underwriter. But it's a great tool because you have access to underwriting. We used to not have that. Now, you can't speak to an underwriter on the phone, but you can always work with them in that email conversation as well as with my team to have the communication with them. So it's really a nice little feature that we now have available. So let's see, let's move this along. We also have policy servicing. These are contact information. If it has to do with the simple additional AI or COI, some of that can be done within our portal. And really quick, let me show you the portal too, so you guys have an idea of what it looks like. This is the actual portal. This is an actual quote in our system. It's through our direct source. You'll make this bigger. You'll be able to work through this whole quote on your own. And using that training module, you'll see how to create these. But you can see this one right here is in quoted stage, meaning you've got an actual premium price here that you can see. And then you can see some of the coverage highlights here. But basically, you're going to work through step by step each of these little operations along in here, and that gets you to the final point of coverage summary with your price indication. And then the training guide will show you how to get to quoted stage. This UW results tab right down here, it shows you why the quote is either being declined or referred. It's a great tool because if it says it's referred for this reason, you may be able to go back up before you, well, if you're in draft stage, and it says it's going to refer, which this one doesn't, but then it says you've got to change something. You can go back up here and make the changes in the quote before you finalize it. So as long as it says draft, you can make changes. And then when you get to the end and you're ready to actually get a quote for it, all you've got to do is, let's say all this was correct. You'd hit get price indication, and you're going to see this quote up here is going to change from gray, kind of a muted gray, to a dark gray. In other words, it's going to allow you to click that quote when it gets you the price. And that's how you set up your quote. That's how you get a new quote. We need information on this one. So not a good example, unfortunately. But bottom line is this up here, this quote button will go from this high muted gray to this more of a darker gray, and it'll say quote. You hit that, you click one more thing to say, basically, yes, I want to finish this quote, and it'll change this draft to quote status or quoted. And when you've got this quoted status, that's an official quote that you can send to your client. It actually gets sent to them right away. In this document section, you'll see there's a quote letter here. This is actually the quote that gets sent to your client. And all you're doing is downloading this document here. Taking a minute. There we go. I just want to show you guys an example of what the quote looks like. This is the quote. It's got your basic premium information right there, monthly payment and total over 12 months. It's got all your information here. That's actually, and it's the same thing effectively as this coverage summary page back here. You're down here. Most of this information is what you're seeing here. And then it goes down and explains a little bit more about the quote, what, all these different things, what's covered, what's not covered, and then this information here. So it's a 3-page quote. Very useful. Let's see. I think you're going to get more in depth in this in the training guide that I set you up for, this agent portal. You'll be able to learn about all this there, and you'll have us as a resource. So let's move this along. If you have questions, you can always send them to agency support at 3 Insurance or call my team at this 855 number. You also have this on premium bearing changes. This is something you might be able to do in the portal, but your client can use this email. So if you give that to your client, they can send it to our client service team, and they'll help them as well. One other feature I like to mention is in our agent portal, there's this chat button down in this corner. You can see it here, down here, and you'll see you just hit that chat, and you hit existing or submission or policy, and then you type in your question, and it comes to an agent like myself, and we help you with it right on the phone, right there, right away. It's really nice. Or you can call us or use that email address as well. Let's see. Rules of engagement. The main thing here is agent of record, broker of record changes. They have to be done before 30 days is up on the renewal. So let's say you've got a June 1st renewal. If you submitted a request for an agent change at this point, you've got a client that says they want to come to you instead of the agent they had, and they've got a policy with us, we won't be able to do it. It's actually got to be 30 days or longer. So we tell people use 90 days as your guide. Try and get that information to us, the AOR, BOR request to us within 90 days so that we can make sure that you're allowed to go ahead and give them a quote. That's the main rule of engagement there. There's some other stuff here. Other things to know, this is on the slide deck, so you'll be able to see this stuff, and it goes through and talks about it in the training guide as well. I'm not going to run through all that. A couple of reminders that I do like to mention. Never use dummy information, either for owner information, because we do ask for owner's home address, as well as their date of birth. You want to make sure you get that information and use it correctly, because if you put the wrong information in there, or if you put the wrong FEIN number in there, you may get an incorrect quote. The other thing I always like to mention is there are no deductibles on liability. So when you're in this coverage summary screen, that always has to be 0 under deductible for business liability. You can change the deductibles down here for all other property, ERC, etc. But you have to leave this as 0. So I like to make sure I mention that. Let's see. Once again, I'm going to mention always use that email that you get from our underwriters for your conversations with underwriting. And once again, the AOR, BOR request has to be within 90 days before renewal. And then don't ever share the contact information with your clients. That's basically don't share this information here, the agency support, three insurance, or our phone number. They can call the 800 number that's actually on our website. If they go to the website, you'll see an 800 number there. Pretty simple. Um, take a quick look at it. This is our website. Great thing about our website, and you guys should all go here and look at this. It's just simply www.3insurance.com. This is what it looks like. This is the 800 number up in the top corner. It actually shows our policy. So when I say we're a three-page policy, that's why we're called three. It truly is 3 pages. Now, the first page is your declarations page. So it's got basic information. It's very similar to that quote. It's got all of the coverage information here. But from that point on, you'll see this little thing is changing as I scroll down. This is a 3-page policy starting here on page 1, and it just gives you a description of what our policy is. We are very comprehensive, so it's it's not specific. It lacks a lot of heavy detail. Like you think about a 30-page or a 50-page or a 100-page policy. Ours is literally just 3 pages long, and then that declarations page. And then if a state has a requirement that we add something on it, we'll have another page or two for that as well. Like Texas has several things that you have to add on there. So that's pretty much how that looks. Like I said, this website, just go to it, check it out. It's a great way to look at things. We've got some frequently asked questions, give our background. These are industries, resources, FAQs are here. So that's really what this is. And then let's see, I think that's about it. I don't think there's much left on my screen. There's slide deck. Been through all that. This is my name. This is our email address for our team and our phone number. And that's pretty much it. I don't want to go any further because I want to give some time for questions. And I know that was a lot in a very short amount of time, but we're here for you using those resources that I showed you. Please feel free to reach out to us. Email, phone line, or that chat button is a great way to reach us as well. So Kylie, at this point, how are we doing in terms of questions? Have we got some questions? I'm sure we have, I would think.
So I do not currently see any questions in the box.
Okay.
Um, I'm sure that they will come up though. And as always, guys, if you do have questions, feel free to reach out to me directly or Joseph. But Joseph, I am going to take back the screen just real quick if
Please
you
do.
are
Yep. I'll
complete.
stop share here. Okay.
Perfect. All right, guys, I'm just going to quickly touch on the portal and remind you where 3 is at. So I'm going to share my screen. Perfect. So 3, you'll see right up here at the top in the portal. Just want to remind you all, if you haven't already completed the login registration, this is what that looks like. It's very quick and simple to fill out, so be sure to complete that so you can get your access to 3 within the portal. And again, that's right here. You can't miss it. So that was pretty simple. I'm going to stop sharing my screen, guys. Awesome. And again, I just want to thank you, Joseph, for your time today, and all of that lovely information, guys, will be shared to you all along with the presentation. And I want to thank you guys so much for your time as well. We do appreciate it. And I don't see any more questions, so I'll just leave that one be.
Okay.
But again,
Thank you
thank you,
all very much.
Joseph. We are
Yes,
happy to have you. Thank you.
absolutely.
Bye.
Thank you.